Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Sunday with Sam's. Lots to talk about today. The biggest being the US election. My predictions were half right, half wrong. I predicted Biden would win the popular vote. He did, by 5 million votes, which is quite a lot. The most any president has ever had, 75 million, and they're still counting votes. Only 50% of the votes in Alaska have been counted. But yeah, Joe Biden needed 270 college electoral seats to win the White House, and he got 290. And what does Donald Trump do? He goes and plays golf. He claims that he's won. He claims that there's fraud. Claims that dead people voted. That Mexicans voted. It's just really, really funny. Have a read out some of the tweets. Oh, he's tweeted today. Okay. I won the election by a lot. The observers were not allowed into the counting rooms. I won the election, got 71 million legal votes. Bad things happened, which our observers were not allowed to see. Never happened before. Millions of mail-in ballots were sent to people who never asked for them. The thing is, Republicans didn't want people to mail in their ballots. So obviously the majority of the mail-in ballots were Democrats, because the Democrats actually believe COVID is a thing, whereas Republicans don't. Hence why Donald Trump got fucking COVID in the first place and gave it to half of his staff. So the majority of the mail-in ballots were Democrats. That's no surprise. On the night of the election, it was looking like Trump was going to win because they had only counted the in-person votes. But as the mail-in ballots started coming in, it started going the other way. If we just read up, it says the 71 million legal votes that most ever first sent president, which is true. The legal vote's probably true, but he's insinuating that Joe Biden's 75 million votes weren't legal, which is just okay. So he's tweeted today, we should look at the votes. We're just beginning the tabulation stage. We should look at these allegations. We're seeing numbers of affidavits that there has been voter fraud. We have a history in this country of election problems. That is factually incorrect. In Pennsylvania, you had an order by a Supreme Court justice to compel them to separate ballots that were received after the legislative deadline. It required the intervention of Justice Alito. There's a large group of ballots. When you talk about systematic problems, it's about how these ballots were authenticated. Because if there's a problem in the system about authentication, that would seriously affect the entire election. See, my issue with that is, if that's the case, then why did it not happen in the states that he comfortably won in? Why did it not happen in Kentucky or Iowa or Nebraska or Idaho or Utah or even Texas or Florida? Why did it only happen in the states that he's lost in? I mean, they're still counting Georgia, so we don't know who has won Georgia, but it's looking like it's going to be a really tight one. There's only about Joe Biden's lead has grown by 10,000. So really, it's what we'd expect from Donald Trump, to be honest. I don't think expect anything else. But what I wanted to look at today. So what is Trump's legacy? What is he going to be the president known for? Was he a good president? Was he a bad president? Did he do good things? Did he do bad things? What? And the thing that just kept on coming to me was the wall. Like, remember in 2016, the big thing was build a wall, and Mexico will pay for it. He didn't build a wall. He built the sections of walls to see what one he liked, and I believe they fell over, and there was videos of people climbing them. So yeah, I'm going to cross that one out. Repeal and replace Obamacare. Nope, he never done that. The Republicans for years were saying how bad Obamacare was, but when it came push to shove, they couldn't replace it. Like, Obamacare has its flaws, but the Republicans had 8 years to think of something better, and they couldn't. Tax cuts, yes, for the rich. The Paris climate deal, Trump wanted to leave that, and technically they have as of a day after the election, but Joe Biden has promised to re-enter that on his first day of term. Reshape the justice, I can't say it. Yeah, he pretty much has done that. Amy Coney Barrett, she was appointed for justice by President Trump for the top court. Bombing ISIS. Now this is an interesting one, because I think every president for the past 20 years has bombed someone to some degree. I think it was in the first 6 months or something. Trump bombed, I think was it Afghanistan? So yeah, we'll give him that one. He moved the Israel embassy. He did that. He increased military spending by a little bit. Bringing the troops home. Yes and no. Yes and no. Ban on Muslims entering the country. Again, yes and no. He started by saying all Muslims, and then he kind of backfooted, and it was only certain countries: Iran, Libya, Somalia, Syria, Yemen, North Korea as well. Didn't know that. And 6 more countries were added 6 months later: Nigeria, Sudan, Tunisia, Kyrgyzstan. I can't even say these last 2 countries. China as a currency manipulator. I mean, I don't think anything's changed in the manipulation of currency that China does. The national debt. National debt's ballooned by more than a third since Trump stood office. So, nah. Deport all illegal immigrants. I'd say no, but he did put them in camps. So, ditching NATO. He's got a long record of saying that America pays too much to NATO, that NATO's a waste of resources, that other countries should pay more, which he's right in saying other countries should pay more. NATO shouldn't be Americans' burden. But again, he didn't leave NATO, so that's another lie. Torture. He said that he would allow waterboarding. Now, what waterboarding is when you'll get tied to the ground and they'll put like a damp paper towel over your head, and after a while you begin to think, or you begin to feel like you're drowning, because technically you are. And this will go on for hours and hours and hours. The Trump administration had banned this, and Trump had said that he was going to bring it back, but he didn't bring it back. And the last but not least one, which I think is the best, is the prosecuting Hillary Clinton. Is Hillary Clinton in jail? Is she in some private jail somewhere, locked up? Nah, I don't think so. So yeah, he's been a failure of a president. The only thing I could think he's done is ban transgenders from joining the army. Honest to God, that's the only thing that stands out to me. I just can't think. But where are all these jobs that he said he was going to create? Where are all these jobs from overseas that he was going to create? His fucking MAGA hats were made in China, for fuck's sake. Honestly. His legacy is botched policies and fucking botched interviews. And he still thinks he's won. He honestly... It leaves you wordless. Like, before the election, he even admits he's a bad loser. And we're just seeing how bad of a loser he is. So yeah, I'd say that's pretty much it for the election stuff. The COVID's looking pretty grim. England going into basically I want to call it a full-time lockdown, but it's not really, because the schools are still there. Can kids not get COVID? Does COVID come across a kid and say, oh, he's a school kid, and he can't get it? No, they're going to be super spreaders. They're going to go home and they're going to give it to their parents. The only reason he's keeping schools open is so the parents can go to work and the economy doesn't fuck up even more than it already is. So it's futile. It's pointless. Nicola Sturgeon, she announced stuff. Is that a 4 or 5 tier plan for each county or each constituency in West Lothian? And I think she's reviewing that weekly. So we'll need to see. Well, no, it's four. So we'll need to see what that entails and how that will impact Christmas, because I think that's what everybody's anxious about. Christmas time, not being able to spend it with their family, and there's lots of people saying, fuck the government, I'll be seeing my family on Christmas, and rightly so. Do I think it's going to get worse? I do, with flu season coming. If we just look at some of the case rates, we're at 24,000 cases yesterday. The highest during the first peak was 7,000, so it puts into perspective how big the second wave is to the first. But deaths they are rising slowly, but they're not as to the level that they were in April and May and March. So that's good, but we just need to really we need to look at the deaths, because the deaths are what matter. in fact, actually, the hospital admissions, because the more hospital admissions, the more deaths. So you need to look at the hospital admissions, and from information I've gathered, St John's was at full capacity at one point in the past few weeks, and they've now had to separate it into 4 different wards. So that's pretty worrisome. But apart from that, there's nothing's really happened. This time next week, Alaska will probably still be counting votes. Same with Georgia and North Carolina. No, Georgia definitely will be counting votes because Trump's asked for a recount in several states that he's lost or is losing. Which is funny. No more Trump. Okay, I think that'll do it for today. I'm still tweaking about with audio systems and stuff like that to get my audio better. And I'm looking for different programs to use, see what one would be best for recording and whatnot. But anyway, thanks for listening. I'll see you guys next Sunday. Cheerio.